Shuchibhutam atra surupam Rupam tasya krachamuri purim maturim ushvatim Radha kundamagiridaram Ahoradika madhuvasam Natto yasya pratita kripaya Shri Guru Tam Natosmi Gurave Gaurachandrai Radhikaya Ekadai Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tabhaktaya Namo Ananda Leelamaya Vigrahaya Hema Bhakti-vyastami Sundaraya Tasmai Mahaprema Rasapradaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Bhakti-abheda-tattva Smurli Manohara Radhikar Sakamama Kripanidhe Supriyat Jarna Kinkuru Tavaivasmi Najimamittayamana Iti Vidyaya Devi Tam Nayamam Jarnantikam. By the courses of Sri Guru and Gauranga, we have been celebrating now for 4 days the most auspicious divine occasion of Sri Gaura Purnima, the appearance day, not appearance, Janmatiti, birthday. Lord Nishingadev can appear, Lord Varahadev can appear, Lord Vamandev can appear. But Krishna and Gaura, they have Janmatiti, they're born. Why? Lokiksa Bandhu Bhat Sambandha, a natural human-like relationship. So we are celebrating the Gaura Janmatiti, auspicious birthday of our Sri Satyananda and Gauri. So first of all, I offer my pranam, my heart like flowers, millions and millions of times at the lotus feet of my holy master. Asmatiya Paramarantatama Guru Padapad, Nityalila Prisht Om Vishnupad, Ashtotar Sri Rupanugacharya, Sva-bhakti-śriyam Narayan Goswami Maharaj. Secondly, I offer my pranam thousands of times at the lotus feet of my Param Gurudev, to Srila Prabhupada, and to all of our Sri Rupanuga Gaudiya Guru Parampara. And finally, I offer my pranam to all the seven Vaishnavas and Vaishnavas. Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur, he said, Yatha yatha gaura padara vinde, vindet bhaktim kta pundarasi, Tatatarat Savri Vidya Kasmar Radha Padamboja Sudamburasi. Meaning is that the degree to which a person surrenders his life at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and engages in his service, then gradually as he goes on, and when his surrender is mature, then suddenly a great ocean of the nectar of the service of the lotus feet of Srimati Radhika arises in his heart. This is a great mystery. The attainment of the Nitya Nikunja Seva of Radha and Krishna is extremely, extremely rare. Yadyapi samadhishu vidarati pashati gnatava nakrakamarichim. Srila Rupa Goswami said, even though Brahma in his trance, he cannot see the light emanating from the toenail of Krishna in Braja. It's a very rare attainment. But to attain the service, confidential service of Radha and Krishna is more exalted. So how is it possible that those who take shelter of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they automatically attain this? They attain Madhurya Rasa in Braja. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is called Mahaprabhu. Why? Because he is the Prabhu. He is the master, he is the king, Rasik Shekhar Shri Krishna, the king of Rasa. But Maha, absorbed in the mood of Mahabhav Swarupa, Srimati Radhika, so his name is Mahaprabhu, Rasaraj Mahabhav. His name is Mahaprabhu because the relationship that a living entity can have with him is always in Dasya Bhav. So he's Prabhu, because Prabhu has Das, relationship between servant and master, Das and Prabhu. But he's Mahaprabhu because the result of having Dasya Bhav towards Mahaprabhu is that one attains Mahabhav. So he's Mahaprabhu. Become his Das and one will attain Madhurya Ras. Not Dasya Ras, Madhurya Ras. So his name is Mahaprabhu. He has appeared. Anarpita chirim chirat karunaya vaktirnaha kalo samarpaitum unnata ujjvala rasam Sva-bhakti-śriyam hari purata sundara dyuti kadamba sandipitaha sadaride kandare spuratuva sachinandana. Such a beautiful, beautiful invocation Srila Rupa Goswami has composed to his bheda-abheda-tattva. May Sachinandan appear in the core of your heart. Sachinandan. Why Sachinandan? Oh, who came to this festival with a friend? Raise your hand. No? You came? Who did you come with? Who's your friend?
Conjestry.
Conjestry. Oh, I have one question for you. Yeah? What is Conjestry's mother's maiden name? Don't know? Right? You know, we have friends, but do we know the mother's maiden name? So if you say Sachinandan, if you say to Gauri, oh Sachinandan, she say, oh, you know my mother. It is an indicative of a natural, even though you have friends and human like here, but if you know the person's mother's name and you have a relationship with them, then it's really close. So Sachinandana, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu hears the name Sachi, 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 he thinks, I cannot repay this person. Let me bless him. All the Vedas should appear in his heart. He should become a great Vaishnava. Or not only that, but I'm indebted to him lifetime after lifetime just by saying Sachi, Sachi. No, not only that. If someone just takes the name Sri Sachi, Sri Sachi, Sri Sachi, then he purchases me completely. In fact, I consider him to be my guru. Mahaprabhu has said these words. Why? Because of the deep love of Sachimata. If someone will glorify her, he becomes indebted to them. So Spratuva Sachinandana, this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Karuna avartinaha kalo. He has appeared in this Kali Yuga, Karunaya, out of mercy. This is a very significant point. Out of mercy means this, that when any avatar of Sri Krishna appears in this world, and even Krishna himself, then Krishna has Icha Shakti. That means his desire potency. And Krishna has Kripa Shakti, his mercy potency. So in every incarnation, including Krishna in Vrindavan, his mercy potency is under the control of his Icha Shakti, his desiring potency. But when Gaurachandra appears, it's the other way around. His desire, his Icha Shakti becomes under the control of the Karuna Shakti. And therefore there's no limit to his mercy. And Vishva Pabullasini, it flows everywhere, breaking all boundaries. So Karunaya Avatirna Kalo. And he has appeared. Anapita Chirim Chirat, to give something that was not offered before. What is that? Samarpaitum Unnata Ujjvala Rasam Sva-bhakti-śriyam. The beauty of devotion, of Swa, of his beloved. The beauty of the devotion of Radhika. That means the mood of her maidservants. Unnata Ujjvala Rasa. And that is in the Unnata, the most elevated, Ujjvala, blazing Rasa. Here Ujjvala Rasa means Madhurya, the romantic mood, but not Swakya, not in the married relationship. Unnata Ujjvala Rasa means the Parakya mood. So this evening, this is our subject. We've been discussing the primary and secondary internal reason, primary and secondary external reason. So the primary external reason was to give this Unnata Ujjvala Rasa. That's our subject. We haven't discussed that yet tonight. So first of all, what is the speciality of this Unnata Ujjvala Rasa, the Parakya mood? This is especially a Vaishistya, Avadan Vaishistya, a special contribution, a dispensation only of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Rupa Goswami and the Vaishnavas in their line. There are other Rasic lines, Vaishnava traditions in Brajamanda. For example, in the Nimbarka Sampradaya of Swami Haridas, there, one famous saint named Bhagavad Rasik, he said, Kahu Sokya, Kahu Parkya, Kalapa Kiyamatabadi, Jori Bhagavad Rasika ki Nitya Ananta Anadi. Some people are saying, Swakya, Swakya, Radha Krishna are married. And others are saying, Parkya, Parkya, Radha Krishna, they're not married, or rather Radhika is married, but not to Krishna. Kalapi Kiyamatvadi. Oh, what is this? This is only useless argument. This is a nuisance, a disturbance in spiritual life. Why? Jodi Bhagavata Rasikaki, Nitya Ananta Anadi. The Jodi, the Jugal, the divine couple, who is the object of the love of the saint who is speaking, they're Nitya Ananta Anadi. They're united together in the kunjas of Vrindavan, Nitya, eternally, with no beginning and no end. So in this particular sampradaya, there's no question of Swakya or Parakya, because the whole conception is only Radha Krishna are together in the kunj. There's no Nanda, Yashoda, no Nandagaon, no Varsana, no Yavat, no cowherd boys, no cows. It's just Radha and Krishna and their Sakhis. There are not different groups of gopis also, there's just all the gopis are in one group, serving Radha and Krishna. Like this is the conception. But in our Gaudiya Sampradaya, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said, Srimad Bhagavatam, Pramanamamalam, Prema Pumarto Mahan. Srimad Bhagavatam is the supreme evidence. And in Srimad Bhagavatam, Upagiyamana Ukayan, Vanita Shata Yutapa. Shukadeva Goswami said, in the Rasa Lila, the gopis are on different yutas. There are hundreds of yutas, different groups of gopis, and they're competing with each other. And also those gopis, they are patisutan vaya bratri bandhavan ativilangyate achyutagata. Gopis say, oh Krishna, we left our families, we left our husbands and all relatives and everything to come here and serve you. So the praman for Parakya Bhav is Srimad Bhagavatam. But anyway, now one may say, but what is the loss? Because the meeting of Radha Krishna in the Nikunjas of Vrindavan, this is the highest thing. So why not become Ananya Rasik, one-pointed? They call this Ananya Rasik. Not only one-pointed in one rasa, but one-pointed only in one thing. The Nitya Milan, Radha Krishna are never separated, they're always together in the Nikunjas. So, what is the advantage of actually not observing that idea? What is the advantage of the revelation of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? This Unnat Ujjvala Rasa, this that was never given before, the Parakya mood. So, Srila Rupa Goswami Pai, in the beginning of the Ujjvala Nilamani, there he says, Atraiva Param Utkarsha Sringarasya Pratistitaha. Here, the supreme position of the Sringar Rasa is established in the Upapati Bhav. That means Krishna is the paramour and Radhika is Paroda, the adulteress. So that is the highest thing. And Rupa Goswami gives some praman. He gives two main pramans. First of all, from Bharat Muni, very ancient sage. Yesterday we heard how even Krishna himself quotes from Bharat Muni. He says, oh, Bharat Muni says that lover and beloved, they enjoy equally, but he does not know my Vrindavan because Radhika enjoys much more than me. So Krishna sometimes quotes Bharat Muni. So Srila Rupa Goswami quotes Bharat Muni, Bahu varyate kalu yatra prachanna kamatatkoncha yachtamito durlabhata sa manmatasya pramarati. The most intense love is manifest by the influence of Cupid when there are three symptoms. The first one, Bahu Paryate. That means that the young couple, they have attraction for each other, but the whole society forbids it. So we also see that reflected in this world. If something is forbidden, then young people think, oh, why is it forbidden? Let me investigate and find out about this. Their curiosity is intensified. So the first thing is, the love is more intense if it's forbidden by the whole of society. The next one, prachanna kamukatom cha. In that circumstance where the love is forbidden, then Radha and Krishna, they have to hide their affection for each other. So this also has the effect of making the more intense manifestation of love. Just like if you want to cook rice, so you put the rice in the pot with some water and you heat it. If you have no cover on the pot, it will take a long time to cook. But if you have a pressure cooker, you put the lid on and seal it, then it becomes very hot very fast. So in the same way, when the Radha and Krishna and gopis, they have to hide their prem, then it's like a pressure cooker inside. And it becomes ripe from the end of their childhood, when the first romantic feeling comes. Radhika said, I first looked at Krishna and he looked at me. And then suddenly, this anuraga appeared and it was increasing and increasing and now it knows no limits. So the Parakya mood is like this. It's just like perhaps you had the experience yourself. That you're in some situation and you feel a sneeze coming, but it wouldn't be appropriate to sneeze at that time. So and you're trying to hold it in. And then finally you just can't hold it when it comes, like your head explodes. So when you try to stop something, when the pressure is there's an obstacle, then the flow of the love increases. Just like water. If water is flowing, but then there are so many rocks and rapids, then the water gets deeper and deeper, then it flows over the top and becomes more variegated and beautiful. So in the same way, in Dwarka, where there are no obstacles, then the love in Dwarka is just flowing like a canal. You know, no one goes to see a simple canal. Where do they go? They go to Niagara Falls, where there's some big rocks and they're blocking the way, and then the water sprays over, and it's with more force than ever before. So when there is the prachana karma kata, that the love has to be hidden, then the love is intensified. Then the third symptom, according to Bharat Muni, is durlabhata. Durlabhata means inaccessibility. It's very rare for the couple to meet. They're quite inaccessible for each other. And so those obstacles, they also cause separation. And nabina vipalambena sambhoga pushtim ashnute kasayate what is that? Kasayate vivardate. It's just like if you have a cloth and it's reddish color and you want to wash it. So then you dip it in the water to wash it. But if you add some alkali to the water, then not only does the cloth become clean and return to its original color, but it actually becomes brighter than it was before it was washed by the addition of the alkali. So Bharat Muni has said that without separation, then the intensity of meeting doesn't come to its highest point. So durlabhata, the inaccessibility, makes the separation, and then meeting is more beautiful. So Rupa Goswami also gives from another Rasa Shastra. There is a poet named Rudra Bhatta, and he has written a text called Sringar Tilak. So in Sringar Tilak, he also gives reasons why the Parakya mood is more intense. He said that Vamata dolavatvam cha strinam yatscha nivarana tadeva panchabanasya manye parama ayudam. If the heroine has a vamata, that means contrariness. Now in a married relationship in Vedic culture, actually the wife is not allowed to manifest contrariness. A little bit. Satyabhama becomes somewhat contrary in Dwarka, but rarely. And Krishna, if he becomes very stern, she'll give up her contrariness at once. If Krishna will say, oh, tell the daughter of that foolish Satyajit to come here at once, otherwise she should leave my palace, then Satyabhama, she gives up her contrary mood and very humbly comes before Sri Krishna in the royal court. So it's not strong in Vamata. Contrariness is not strong in the Swakiya, married relationship. So Vamata dolavatvam cha, dolavatvam, that is inaccessibility, it was mentioned by Bharat Muni. Strinam yatscha nivarana, and now another symptom, nirvarana. It means rebuffing the advances. If the hero is trying to get very close to the heroine, but she keeps pushing him away. So these all together are considered to be Tadeva Panchabanasya Manye Parama Ayutam. These are the most powerful weapons of Cupid. So if you take the two verses together, because there's some Durlabhatva is in both of the verses. So altogether, the superiority of the Parakya mood is found in 5 characteristics. 1, Bahuvaryate, society is forbidding everything. Prachana Kamakata, the hero and the heroine have to hide their feelings. Durlabhata, they are inaccessible to each other. Bhamata, Radhika, the heroine, is the very contrary. And also, when Krishna tries to make advances, she rebuffs him. So all these taken together, they are the deadly weapons of Cupid and cause the love to be more deep. Now, Srila Jiva Goswami part, there's some confusion arose in the Gaudiya Sampradaya, and on the basis of comments of Srila Jiva Goswami, many devotees were thinking that yes, gopis leave their husbands and everything when the Leela is manifest in this world. But that's just an illusion. And at the end of the Leela, when Krishna comes back from Dwarka, he meets with the gopis, and then they all get married and they go to Golok Vrindavan. And in the spiritual world, in Golok Vrindavan, Radha Krishna are married. Because the illusion of the Parakya Rasa has been removed by Yogamaya Devi. And so many persons, they had the married relationship as their ultimate goal within the Gaudiya Sampradaya. And Srila Vishwanath Thakur said, no, this is quite wrong. And he gave very strong arguments against it. And they became so upset. You know the history. They even tried to kill Srila Vishwanath Thakur. It was very intense. It was very intense. Actually, I have the photographs of all documents from the legal cases in the court of king in Bengal and in the court of the king of Jaipur as well, where they're passing laws saying that you cannot say that the obstacles of Parakya have to be there for Mahabhav to manifest. You cannot say that in Rupa Goswami's Lalit Madhav, where in the end Radhika comes to Dwarka and is married to Krishna, and then Yogamaya appears and Dwarka disappears and Radha Krishna find themselves back in Vrindavan. That not only has Yogamaya transferred Radha Krishna back to Vrindavan, but Yogamaya has also undone their wedding and they're back into Parakya again. You can't say that, it's illegal. Huh? I can show you the documents. So there were court cases over this. And the laws were passed, if anyone will say this, they'll be punishable by the king. But Srila Vishwanath Thakur, he was so bold, and even though persons tried to kill him. But how indebted we are, the sacrifice that our acharyas have made, that the truth of Rupa Goswami's teaching will come down to us. We can say, yes, Parakya is the highest part, but what if it were illegal to say that? And people are trying to kill you, then what would you do? So think about it. But there was a reason. Srila Jiva Goswami, he wrote some things about that seem to suggest that the Swakiya is the Nitya Sthiti, it's the eternal situation in the spiritual world. And he did that, first of all, so that the whole Gaudiya Sampradaya itself would not be eradicated by the conservative kings. So the Gaudiyas, they could show, oh look, in our commentary it says that in the spiritual world there is a Swakiya. But internally they could just keep focusing on the Parakya. So, in order to protect the Sampradaya from being persecuted, he's given some ideas. And another reason is that he had a disciple who was very dear to him named Gopal. And Gopal, according to his sanskar, he was attracted to the married mood. So, Jiva Goswami gave that possibility as well. Some persons can do bhajan and attain not Braj, but Golok. The divine realm has, the Krishna Loka planet has 4 dimensions. The outer aspect is called Golok. And Radha Krishna and all their associates are there, but there's a married mood. And then inside that, more confidential in that planet, there is Dwarka. And more internal to that is Mathura. And then the most internal realm is called Braj, Vrindavan or Gokul. And there's no awareness of Krishna's Bhagavatam, there's no awareness of his opulence, and there is a Shuddha Parakya mood. Radhika is married to Abhimanyu, and Radhika and all the gopis, they have to sneak around and hide their love for Shri Krishna. So, but it's not that possibility doesn't exist, it does exist. And those persons who will worship Radha and Krishna in Vaidhi Bhakti, they will go there because a wedded relationship is based on Vidhi. There are some rules and regulations in a married relationship. And so, only those who will worship Radha and Krishna under the guidance of Raganuga Bhaktas and develop greed and enter into Raganuga Bhakti, they also attain Radha and Krishna, but not in Golok, in Gokul, in the Braja, Vrindavan, where Parakya Rasa is supreme. So Jaya Jaya Ujjwala Rasa Sarva Rasa Sa Parakya Bhave Jahe Brajati Prachar. We sing this song every morning. Now, some of the arguments that Srila Jiva Goswami gave for Swakiya, they're very interesting. he said, Mata hastina pada durgagala iva nivarna adikam tasam rate prabalatam vyanjayati eva na tu janayati. The meaning is this, that if a hunter catches an elephant and puts shackles on his feet, then the elephant, he may be so strong, he may fight and he can break the shackles. And so these shackles, they don't create the strength of the elephant. The elephant already has the strength. But the fact that he breaks the shackles, it is the Vyanjayati. That means it's Vyanjak. It reveals the strength. In other words, the hunter or anyone didn't know how strong the elephant is. But because he broke the shackles, now we understand this elephant is so strong. But the shackles don't create the power of the elephant. So Jiva Goswami Pad said, similarly, all of these things like Durlabhata, Prachalakamakata, Nivarnata, Bhamyata, Bahuvadyata, all of these obstacles in Parakirasa, they Vyanjayateva, they cause the gopis and Krishna and everyone to know how powerful is the gopis' love, but they don't create the power of the gopis' love. The gopis' powerful love is already there. And the obstacles, when they come and the gopis transgress all those boundaries, then it just reveals how powerful their love is. This is Srila Jiva Goswami Pad's conclusion, and we can agree with it, but he extracts something from that. He says that, moreover, that strength of the love is not created by the obstacles, it only causes it to be expressed, but it can be expressed even without the obstacles. The power of the gopis' loves can be expressed even without the obstacles. So Jiva Goswami gives a few examples. One example is that in Gopal Champu, when Sri Krishna returns to Braj from Dwarka and he meets with the Braj gopis, then Yoga Maya reveals that actually these gopis, they were never married to Krishna. And she shows that she's made doubles, the Chaya gopis. Every gopi has a shadow, a secondary form. And these were married to Krishna. And when the gopis see that they have doubles, then they were thinking all the time, I was married, I'm married. But now, I'm young, free and single. And they become so ecstatic. And then all the gopis, they marry Krishna. And then the Leela becomes unmanifest from this world and they go to Golok. And now, the love has been manifested by the experience of Parakya. But now the obstacle has been removed and they're eternally in that higher state in Golok Vrindavan. It's in Golok, not Golok Vrindavan, sorry, actually Golok. In Golok, Radha Krishna and gopis, they're married. But they're already in that awakened state. It's like the eternal moment in the Leela after Krishna's return. Understand? So they have the heightened state, and it's like that forever. But all the obstacles have been removed. And Srila Jiva Goswami Pad, that is called, he calls that Paramasriya. It's not Swatiya like Dwarka, because the queens there, they haven't been through these obstacles. And even if those obstacles came, their love is not so powerful that they could even transgress them. Because they only have Anurag, up to Anurag. They don't have Mahabhav. So, Jiva Goswami gives another example. He said, just see, Rupa Goswami has described the highest love, the Madanakya Mahabhava of Radhika. And there he said, Yoga eva bhaved esha vichitra kopi madanaha yad vilas virajante nitya lila sahasrada. This Madanakya Mahabhava only manifests at the time of yoga, the time of meeting. In other words, when Radha and Krishna are together, and there are no obstacles at that time, that's when Madan Bhav appears. And therefore, the highest love manifests only at the time when there aren't any obstacles. So this is the argument of Srila Jiva Goswami. Now, later in his commentary, Jiva Goswami Pad says, Swechaya likitam kinchit, kinchidartha parechaya. Some things I have said according to my own desire, and some things I have said according to the desires of others. So then the question comes, he said some things about Parikya, he said some things about Swakya. Which is the one that's his own desire and which is the desire of others? And you can actually build up a very big case that actually his desire is the Swakya. But Srila Vishnatavi Thakur, knowing the heart of Srila Jiva Goswami, who is the incarnation of Vilas Manjari, the very dear Saki of Rupa Manjari. So he cannot ultimately have the Swakya mood or even the Paramasriya, which is higher than the Swakya Adoka, but Paramasriya. Even that mood, it cannot be his goal. So, Vishwacharya Thakur, he says, yes, Jiva Goswami is really internally the propounder of the Parikya mood. Why? Because he has written, Dukasya Paramakasta Kulavadunam Swayam Api Paramasumarya Danam Swajana Arya Patan Abhyam Branks Eva. Meaning is that Mahabhav has three characteristics. The first one is Swasambheda Dasha. I will not discuss that today. The second one is Prakashita. I will not discuss that today. But the third one is called Yavadashray Vritti. Yavadashray Vritti. Now this Yavadashray Vritti, it has two meanings. One is that the Mahabhava of Braj Gopis, it fills their consciousness. It overflows into their pran. It permeates their bodies and their bodies become one with the nature of Mahabhav. But it doesn't stop there. It then overflows from their bodies and spreads out and affects everything and everyone who's close enough to see them or to hear them. So that is called Yavadashray Vritti. Here Ashray means a devotee. Let's say Rupa Manjari is watching the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. So the Mahabhava of Radhika is overflowing and it's spreading out, and Rupa Manjari then becomes vyapt. She becomes completely permeated by Radhika's mood. Why? Because of this, the action of Yavadashray Vritti, the Mahabhava is spreading out and pervading her. So this is one meaning. But the other meaning of Yavadashray Vritti is that when the ashray of anurag goes to its fullest point, the shelter of anurag is rag. You know, because the study Bhav develops like that. Prem, Sneha, Man, Pranaya, Rag, Anurag, and then Mahabhav. So the ashray of anurag is rag. Now what is rag? Rag is defined as Dukam atyadikam chitte sukatvenaeva rajate. It is that love which is so intense that if there's something which would be taken as a cause of suffering, the love is so intense that it turns that suffering into happiness. Or it could take a cause of happiness, an ordinary cause of happiness, and turn it into suffering. For example, for a young lady to get married is a cause of happiness. But when the gopis, they hear from the parents, we are arranging your marriage, then they feel it's suffering. Why? Because they have rag. They have this deep attachment to Sri Krishna. So then the other way around is that the suffering of leaving the home and walking very far through the forest, climbing over the sharp stones of Govardhan Hill. And on a hot day in the middle of the summer, Radhika is standing with her very soft lotus feet on the sharp rocks of Govardhan, which are heated. They're boiling hot due to the heat of the sun. And she's standing on those rocks. It's a very painful condition. But because it affords her a chance to look into the valley and see that Krishna is there, grazing the cows in the distance. So the pain she feels is actually experienced as joy because of her love for Krishna. So this is rag. So of course that's a painful experience to walk on sharp hot stones. But Vishnu Chaitanya, he quotes Jiva Goswami as saying, what is the most painful experience for any gopi? So he says, Dukasya parama kashta, the highest degree of suffering for Kula Vadhunam. That means a lady from, she's a Kula Vadhu, a young lady from a dynasty which is very noble and dignified and has great reputation within society. So for such a lady from an exalted dynasty who is a Parama Sumaryada, that means such an aristocratic and noble young lady is Parama Sumaryada. She, to the highest degree, observes all Sumaryada, beautiful etiquette, ethics and morality of society. So for such a young woman, Swajana Aryapata Branksa, to fall from the Aryapat, the path of the Vedas, to fall from a position of respect of her Swajan, of her immediate family members and the rest of society, that is the greatest pain of all. That pain is more intense than being placed in a fire. That pain is more intense than death for a Kula Vadhu. And therefore, the highest condition of Rag, Yavadashrai Rag goes to its ultimate position when, for the gopis, the opportunity to serve Krishna is only achieved by falling from the path, Aryapat, and the respect of Swajan. And therefore, Uddhav, when he came to Vrindavan, Uddhav was amazed, and he said that. Uddhav said, Asam maho charanu reinu jusham ahamsyam Vrindavane kimapi gulma lataushadinam swadjustyajam swajanam ayapatam swajanam ayapatam chahitva bejor mukunda padavim sutibe vimrikyam. Uddhav said it would be a matter of the greatest fortune for me if I could take birth as a creeper or a small herb or a blade of grass in Vrindavan, because then I would be able to get the touch of the dust of the lotus feet of Braja Gopis on my head. These Braja Gopis are so exalted that that which is very difficult to give up. Swajana Ayapatam Tahitva, they've given up the Aryapat, the path of Vedic Dharma, and Swajan, the respect of their family members. So this is amazing. Bejo Mukunda Padavim Sutibe Vimirkyam. And they did this just to please Krishna. And that Krishna is searched for by the Vedas. So if someone says the gopis are not following the Vedas, what is he saying? The gopis don't have to follow the Vedas because the Vedas want to follow the gopis. They're so exalted. And so, when Anurag takes complete shelter of its basis, Rag, that means only when the gopis feel joy in what should be the worst cause of pain, worse than fire and worse than death, but they feel joy in that. And leaving everything, and they go to meet Krishna in the forest of Vrindavan and serve him. That's the point, Yavadashrai Briti, where Anurag turns into Mahabhav. In other words, if the gopis were not to experience that pain and be so eager to serve Krishna that the pain turns into pleasure, then their Anurag would never turn into Mahabhav. So Srila Vishnu Chaitanya is making the argument. Just look what Jiva Goswami wrote. Here's the proof of what he really feels. Because Jiva Goswami is saying that Anurag will not turn into Mahabhav unless those obstacles are there. And therefore, we cannot say that the obstacles are only the Vyanjaka. They only reveal the power of the love which is there. Yes, the love is there and it's powerful and they reveal it. But the obstacles are a necessary cause for that love which is already there to be manifested. They're a necessary cause. They're not a sufficient cause. You know, there's a difference between a necessary cause and a sufficient cause. Right? Just like if you have a radio, you can hear the music playing on the radio. So the radio is a necessary cause of hearing that music, but it's not a sufficient cause. Because if there's not a station sending the message, the radio will not give you anything. Right? So there's a necessary cause, but there's also sufficient cause. So in the same way, the obstacles, they are a necessary cause. They're needed, they have to be there, but it's not a sufficient cause. For example, just like ordinary people in this world today, there may be a woman and she's married and then she becomes attached to someone and there are so many obstacles. So she breaks, she transgresses all the obstacles and she becomes an adulteress. But will she have Mahabhav? No, she'll go to hell. Right? So the obstacles, they're not a sufficient cause. That Prem already has to be there in the heart of the gopis. But it's a necessary cause because the anurag will not become Mahabhav unless those obstacles of parakya are there. So in this way, Vishnachavi Thakur, he takes Srila Jiva Goswami's own words and uses that for the evidence of the superiority of the parakya bhav and why the obstacles have to be there. And then he gives the conclusion that if we say that these obstacles are illusory, they're only part of the Prakat Lila here in this world, and then when Radha Krishna go to the Aprakat Lila, to the eternal pastimes, those obstacles are no longer there. Based on this conclusion, when they go to the Aprakat Lila, to the eternal spiritual Dham, then there would be no Mahabhav there. It would only be manifest in this world, and this would be complete unsatisfactory conclusion. We cannot say that this bhav is only here and there. In the origin, the bhav does not exist, it does not manifest. That's not an acceptable conclusion. So, this is the meaning of, we're discussing what? Samarpaitum Unnata Ujjvala Rasam Sva-bhakti-śriyam. So we've discussed the meaning of Ujjvala Rasa. That is the parakya mood. It is the eternal. It is manifest here and it is also there. Now the meaning of Sva-bhakti-śriyam. Sakya Sri Radhikaya Brajakumita Vido Ladini Nama Shakti Saransa Premat Kishalaya Dala Pushpadi Tulya Satulya Siktanam Krishna Lila Amrita Rasanichaya Ula Santam Mamusyam Jatullasam Susechat Satgunamadikam Santiyatan Chitram. Nandi Mukhi, she was watching the meeting of Radha and Krishna and seeing the Sakhis. And Brinda Devi said, just look, when Krishna is embracing Radhika, then all the Sakhis are crying. They're having ecstasy, their hairs are standing on end. So then Nandi Mukhi said, oh, this is not a surprising thing. Why? Because Radhika is like the wish-fulfilling creeper. She's a kalpalata who fulfills all the desires of Shri Krishna. And the Sakhis of Radhika, Mahabhav Swarupa, Krishna Prema Kalpalata, Sakigana Hoy Tarapalav Pushpapata. Just as a creeper is most beautiful when it has so many leaves and flowers and manjaris. So in the same way, the Sakhis of Radhika who are surrounding her, they enhance her beauty. And they are like the leaves and the flowers and the manjaris of the creeper. They're not different from her. They are her Kaya Vyuharup. Mahabhav Chintamani Radhara Swarup Lalita Disaki Tara Kaya Vyuharupa. They're Radhika's own bodily expansions. And so when Radhika comes to meet with Krishna, when she's surrounded by her Sakhis, then she looks most beautiful. Srila Gurudev used to give the example that when the wind blows, the bumblebee comes and it wants to land and drink the nectar of the flowers from a creeper. But when the wind blows, then the creeper's moving, so it's difficult for the bumblebee to get the flower and take the nectar. And all the manjaris and the leaves are moving side by side and kind of brushing them off. So in the same way, Krishna is like a bumblebee, and when he comes to taste the nectar of Srimati Radhika, then all the Sakhis and Manjaris, they're moving around and no. No. And it increases Sri Krishna's eagerness. So, Sva-bhakti-śriyam, what is the Sri, the beauty of Radhika's bhav, that is there in her, especially in her Manjaris. So the mood of the Manjaris, this is called Bhavalasarati. Bhavalasarati is quite a controversial issue in the sense that many persons, they have different ideas, or what does it really mean? So we want to discuss. We've discussed Unnata Ujjwala Rasam, now Sva-bhakti-śriyam. It refers to Bhavalasarati. So first of all, what does the word ullas mean? Ullas can mean joy. But ullas also means giving prominence to any object by comparison. So if one object is prominent over another object, then it's said to be ullas. It's ullasita. It's prominent over something else. So then the question comes, what are the two things and which one is prominent in this term, in this phrase, Bhavalasarati? There have to be two things and one of them is prominent. What is that? So in Bhakti-rasamrita Sindhu, Srila Rupa Goswami Pad has given the definition of Bhavalasarati. He said, Sanchari syat samonava Krishna ratya suridrati adika pusyamana chet Bhavalasa itiryate. The meaning is this. The gopis, they have Krishna rati. They have love for Krishna. But they also have love for each other. So their love for Krishna is called Krishna rati. That is their sthayi bhava, foundational emotion. And their love for each other, that is called suridrati. Friendship. Surit means when you feel well-wishing towards another person. And you have sajatiya bhav, you have the same feelings, the same aspirations in life. So because the gopis, they want to please Krishna, so they have the same aspirations. But some of the gopis, they want to please Krishna by being very humble and submissive with him. They have Grita Sneha like Chandravali. So all those who have that mood, they become friends with each other. You see, the Suridrati, the friendship, is based on the way that they want to love Krishna. And those who have Madhusneha, those who think it's more pleasing to Krishna to be contrary and make problems for him and tease him, then those gopis come together and so they become friends. So Srila Krishna Chaitanya gives a nice example. He says that there is a quality called Vinayata. Vinayata means gentleness and humility. So this quality of Vinayata is the same amount in Radhika and in Chandravali. Chandravali has the same amount of Vinayata, gentleness and humility, gentleness and politeness, and Radhika has the same amount of gentleness and politeness. But the pariman, that means the amount of love that Radhika has, is much more than Chandravali. And so, because Radhika has much more love than Chandravali, her politeness is nigirna, that means it's swallowed. Her love swallows her politeness in such a way that it's not manifest. It's hidden. Whereas with Chandravali, she has love, but her politeness is still visible. And because of this, the prem of Chandravali, with the politeness which is still visible, because the prem is somewhat less, turns into Grita Sneha. The affection filled with the mood of, oh Krishna, I am yours. But Radhika's prem, where the politeness is completely submerged, completely swallowed, because she has so much more love, it turns into Madhusneha, honey-like love, which is predominated by the mood of Krishna, you are mine. So this is the difference. And once it happened that when the parents of the gopis announced to them, today you have to leave your mother's house, your parents' house, and go and live in the sasural, in the mother-in-law's house. Then all the gopis, they were so distressed. They didn't want to go and live with some strange family, with some strange man. They only want that Krishna should be their beloved. And they snuck out of the house in the early morning and they went to Kalyarad. And each gopi set out there with an intention that I want to drown myself in that place. Because that place, Kalyarad, is so dear to the gopis. Because that day, when Krishna danced on the head of Kaliya, that is a Purva Rag Leela. It is in their childhood, just towards the end of their childhood. And it's the day that their Purva Rag manifested. That their romantic feeling, before they were children, small children, but they don't think I'm a boy or a girl or anything, they just play. They have a samanya prem, a general kind of prem. But on that day when the gopis saw Krishna dancing on the head of Kaliya, then the Madhur Bhav came, the romantic mood. Instead of looking at Krishna just, oh, it's Krishna, then they looked at Krishna like, Hav Bhav, Hela, Shobha, Diptika. The Bhavalankas came, the appearance of Madhurya Rasa came on that day. So on that day when they first really fell in love with Krishna in a romantic way, that was at the Kalyarad. And so when they had to be transferred, they had to move to their in-laws' house. Each gopi, without even speaking to the others, set off and went to Kalyarad, or this place where I fell in love with Krishna, I should drown myself in Jamuna. And so they came there with their heads covered with a cloth. And when they arrived, they looked around and saw, oh, there's thousands of people here. What's going on? So then they removed their anchal, their veil, and they looked in each other's faces. And the face of each gopi was so devastated that they could understand just by looking at each other. Oh, you too? You also can't live? You also came here to kill yourself? Yes, me too. Let's do it together. So then there was a great breaking of the tension, because each and every gopi had prachanda kamakata. They hide their feelings from absolutely everyone. But on that day, that was the first time. You know what Sakhi means? The word Sakhi means who, if they have a feeling, they cannot keep it inside and it has to come out from the mouth. So on that day, they expressed their feeling to each other and the tension was broken. They'd been hiding it completely, but now they spoke to each other and they felt some relief. But those who had a similar love became Sakhis with those who had similar love. And so on that day, Padma and Shaibya became the Sakhis of Chandravali, Lalita, Vishaka and so on became the Sakhis of Radhika. And Radhika held hands with her Sakhis and said, oh, we gopis who on this day give up our life in the Jamuna, pray to Jamuna Devi. Oh please, let us be Sakhis lifetime after lifetime. And may we never, ever have an association of any man, only Krishna. And they were holding hands and Radharani led them into the Jamuna to drown. But Jamuna Devi manifested herself in thousands of forms and caught each gopi and brought them back onto the bank. And Yogamaya came, Brinda Devi came, and Purnamasi Devi said, you should not be in anxiety. Myself, Yogamaya, Brinda and Jamuna, we will always protect you. No one but Krishna will ever touch you. And we bless you that all your desires will be fulfilled. And only then could they have the patience, Dharya, Dharan, hold their patience and be able to move to their in-laws' house without dying. Understand what it means to live in Yavat. And what it means to be a Sakhi. So the love between the Sakhis is based on their love for Krishna. And so Krishna Rati, love for Krishna is the Sthai Bhav, and the love between friends, that's the Sanchari Bhav. That's a wave in the ocean of their love for Krishna, and it nourishes their love for Krishna. So we can give an example of a Suridrati. Very beautiful example is in Srimad Bhagavatam of the love towards a Sakhi. Shukadeva Goswami said, Tato gatva vadun desham dipta keshavam abravit na parayeham chalitum nayamam yatate manaha. In the Rasalila, when Krishna disappeared from all the gopis but took Radhika with him, then they played together in beautiful kunjas and Krishna decorated Radhika, and then Krishna was thinking, oh, soon other gopis will come, Sakhis will come, and they'll see me alone with Radhika, and they'll blame Radhika. Oh, why did she take Krishna alone. And we gave her our life to her. And she abandoned us. So Krishna didn't want any Sakis to criticize Radhika. So Krishna said, oh, let's walk. And they were going from forest to forest. But then at a certain point, Radhika said to Krishna, Na paryam chalitum, I cannot go any further. If you want to go any further, then Naya mam, yatutemana, you can carry me. Wherever you like. So then Krishna, he said yes, and he knelt down and said, just sit on my shoulder. And Radhika was about to sit on his shoulder, and then Krishna also disappeared. But this moment is very sweet. Why? The reason Radhika said, Na pareham. Not only Krishna says Na pareham, Radhika says Na pareham chalitum, I cannot go any further, is because she loves Lalita, she loves Vishaka, she loves her Saki so much that she was thinking, why should I be alone with Krishna? Let me just slow him down and let my Sakis catch up, and then they can also play with Krishna. So this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam is actually the manifestation of Suridrati, the love of one gopi for another gopi. In this particular case, it's Radhika's love for her Sakis. Another beautiful example is given, Shaila Murti Harina Biharanti Roma Kutmala Karma Pitamurtihi. Once, Radharani was playing on the top of Govardhan with Sri Krishna. She was in such ecstasy meeting with him. Her perspiration was coming. Her hairs were standing on end. And at that moment, she turned towards Lalita. And with her hand, she wiped the face of Lalita. And the curls of Lalita were falling on her face. And she just pushed her curls to the side like this, very lovingly. So this is another example of Suridrati. That Radharani's love for Lalita is based on her love for Krishna. And it's a Sanchari Bhav because it nourishes her love for Krishna. So Rupa Goswami, in the definition of Bhavalas, he said, Sanchari Shat Samonava Krishna Ratya Suridrati. If the love for the friend is less than love for Krishna or equal to love for Krishna, then that love for the Saki is a Sanchari Bhav. It's a wave in the ocean of love for Krishna, and it causes love for Krishna to increase, just like a wave is the rising up of the ocean. So, but the second line describing Bhavala says, but adhika pushamana ched bhavalasa itiriyate. But what will happen if the love for one's friend is actually more than love for Krishna? And instead of the love for the friend nourishing the love for Krishna, but the love for Krishna is nourishing the love for your friend. So the poshana, the act of nourishing, is reversed. So if that happens, then this is called bhavalas. Bhavalasa itiriyate. And this is the mood of the Manjaris. Because the Manjaris, they love Radha and Krishna, but they love Radhika more. Permanently. They're permanently in that state. So something wonderful happens, that instead of their love for their Saki, Radhika, nourishing their love for Krishna, it becomes reversed. Their love for Krishna is nourishing their love for Radhika, and the love for Radhika is in a higher position. Now, some persons have posited that when this happens, then that means that for Radhika and for Lita and Vishaka, their Sthayi Bhav is to Krishna and their Sanchari Bhav is to their Saki. But for the Manjaris, the Sthayi Bhav is to Radhika and the love for Krishna is a Sanchari Bhav. This idea has been given. But actually, this cannot be accepted. Why? Because the entire philosophy of Rupa Goswami will be broken, it will be smashed. Because from the very beginning of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, he said, Akila Rasamrita Murti Prasimara Ruchi Ruda Tarakapali. Krishna is the embodiment of all rasa, and all rati, all sthayi bhavs to Sri Krishna are to Sri Krishna. They're called Sri Krishna Vishayini Rati. Rati, or the sthayi bhav, foundational love, is always to Sri Krishna. And another reason why this is important, a very practical reason, Because how does rasa come about? When the sthayi bhav is nourished by the various ingredients like vibhav, anubhav, sattvika bhav and sanchari bhav, then the foundational love becomes rasata. It becomes very tasty, it becomes very flavorable, and the sthayi bhav turns, the intensification of the sthayi bhav means that it turns into rasa, and that is bhakti rasa. Now the question is, that means that if you have a particular sthayi bhav, then that sthayi bhav will turn into a particular rasa. Let's say you have dasya rati, love for Krishna in the dasya mood. When the other ingredients mix with that, then dasya rati will turn into dasya rasa. Right? It's clear. If you have sakya rati, friendship for Krishna, and the other ingredients come, it will turn into sakya rasa. So if you have madhurati, the romantic mood towards Sri Krishna, and the other ingredients come, it will turn into madhur rasa. So if you propose that the Manjaris, their sthayi bhav is to Radhika, so you cannot have madhur rati towards your friend, right? So it could be dasa, it could be sakya, like this. And so then the Manjaris, when the other ingredients come, then if the sthayi bhav were to Radhika, then it would not turn into madhur rasa. The Manjaris would not even be in Madhurya Rasa. So this is not acceptable. And so Rupa Goswami, Ujjwala Nilamani and Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu also, he describes all the gopis and all the Sakhis, they're all in Madhurya Rasa, and therefore the sthayi bhav is to Krishna. Okay? Sthayi bhav is to Krishna. Now the next thing, big problem comes. A very big problem. If the sthayi bhav is to Krishna, and sanchari bhav is like a wave, and actually Jiva Goswami in the commentary on the verse describing Bhavalas, he says, Sancharitvaepi vaisistya apekshaya bhavalasakyo bhava iryate, which means when the love for the friend becomes more and is nourished by Krishna Rati, Jiva Goswami directly says, Sancharitvaepi, it remains a sanchari bhav. He doesn't say it turns into a sthayi bhav. So he says it remains a sanchari bhav. But because it has a vaishishta, it has some speciality, so we have to give it a special name. And that is called bhavalas. Now, this is the problem I want to raise. That is, if there's an ocean, and it has some waves in it, the ocean is bigger than the waves, right? But how is it possible that the wave can become bigger than the ocean? If Krishna Rati is the ocean, and friendship for Radhika is a sanchari bhav, it's a wave, but the love for Radhika becomes more than the love for Krishna. How can a wave be bigger than an ocean? It's very problematic. So then this has to be solved. This has to be solved. So it lies in the phrase adhika pushyamana. Pushyamana means while being nourished. Now this word pushyamana, the nourishment is taking place, is used throughout Rupa Goswami's explanation of Rasa Tattva. And he uses it in relationship to Gaunarati. You understand? Gaunarati, that means secondary sthayi bhavs. In the history of Rasa, because you know that Rupa Goswami has said there are 5 mukhya-ratis, 5 chief, the foundational relationships, Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya and Madhurya. But then Rupa Goswami says that in addition to these can become 5 types of rasa, but there are also 7 secondary ratas that can become Gauna rasas. What are they? Hasya, Bhuta, Virya, Karuna, Rodra, Vibhatsa, Bhayanak. That means hasya, comedy, adbhut, astonishment, virya, chivalry, hasya, bhuta, virya, karuna, the pathos, the pathetic mood, compassion, rodra, anger, bibats, disgust, and bhai, fear. These are 7 types of secondary rati. They can also be mixed with ingredients and turn into a rasa. But ordinarily, they just act like sanchari bhavs. And if they become prominent, they become prominent when the sthayi bhav, love for Krishna, becomes sankuchit. That means it becomes somewhat contracted and gives the superior position to that feeling of comedy or chivalry or astonishment. And now the sthayi bhav of the love for Krishna is still the sthayi bhav, but it just withdraws itself into the background and it nourishes the comedy, the humor of the moment, or the fear of the moment. So Srila Jiva Goswami Pad explains the way that it works. He says that what happens is that the sthayi bhav becomes vyapt. It becomes completely pervaded by the sanctuary bhav. Understand? Let's say, for example, Krishna's meeting with his friends and they have sakyarati. They have friendship with each other. But Madhu Mangal cracks a joke and it's so hilarious that the mood of comedy completely pervades their entire love for Krishna. And in that moment, the love for Krishna becomes somewhat, it takes the low position and it boosts the hasya, the mood of the comedy. And then all the other ingredients come and it turns into hasya rasa. Understand? So, the way in which a sanctuary bhav or a secondary rati becomes a rasa is that first it pervades the love for Krishna. So there's love for Krishna, and then it becomes completely colored by the sense of comedy, and that becomes prominent. And the love for Krishna is nourishing the hilarity of the moment. So Jiva Goswami gives this example. And when the love for Krishna is nourishing the comedy, then that is called the humorous mood is pushyamana, it's being nourished by Krishna Rati. So that's what we have in this Bhava Lasarati. The history of this rasic discussion is very fascinating. Why? Because Rupa Goswami said there are 5 primary rasas and 7 secondary rasas. But Bharat Muni, the original sage of the rasa tattva, he said there are 8 rasas. Not 5 primary and 7 secondary, that makes 12. Bharat Muni, and Bharat Muni is an authority, he cannot be dishonored. He said there are 8 rasas. So what are the 8 rasas of Bharat Muni? They are Hasya, Bhuta, Vira, Karuna, Rodha, Vivatsa, Bhayak, those 7, plus only love. Love is one. It's one kind of rasa. He just calls it rati. So that's 8. Now, Srila Vyasadeva in Agni Purana, he has said that this Hasya, Bhuta, Vira, Karuna, these 7, they are sanctuary bhavs. And actually, there are only 5 rasas. So now Rupa Goswami is in a situation where he has to respect Bharat Muni and he also has to respect Srila Vyasadeva. Can't disrespect anyone. So he reconciled the 2 conceptions. He took the 8 rasas of Bharat Muni and he took the one, Rati, love, and he made it into 5. Dasa Sakya, Shanta Dasa Sakya, Patsaya and Madhurya. And then he gave the position of what Vyasadeva says are sanctuary bhavs. He gave them also the position of secondary ratas that can become secondary rasas. So in this way, Rupa Goswami very perfectly and artistically reconciled the Natya Shastra of Bharat Muni and the Agni Purana, the description of Rasa Tattva given by Vyasadeva in the Puranas. Now, the question remains, well, is that a legitimate reconciliation? Because Vyasadeva does say that Hasya, Bhuta, Vira, Karuna, these are sanctuary bhavs. So how can you give them the position of Gona Ratis, secondary Ratis, when you have 33 sanctuary bhavs? Right? Rupa Goswami has another category, Nirved, Vishad, and Dainya, Glani, Tras, Mada, Mati, Vitarka, Harsha. He has 33 transitory existing emotions, Unmajjanti, Nimajjanti, which rise and fall in the ocean of love for Krishna. So he has 33. Why didn't he just say, well, 33 plus 7 makes there 40 sanctuary bhavs? Because Vyasadeva said these 7 are sanctuary bhavs. Why did he give them a separate category? Well, the first reason he gave them a separate category is because he's trying to respect Bharat Muni, who says that they can become rasas. But there's a another legitimate reason why he did it. You see, Dainya means humility. It's a century above. Nirved means criticizing yourself, self-disparagement. Vishad means anutap, regret. So in this way, there are so many emotions, they come and go. But when these 33 century bhavs come and go, when they go, they don't leave a samskar in the heart. They don't leave a samskar. But comedy, chivalry, all of these 7, they come and they go, but after they're gone, they still remain in the form of a sanskar. So in other words, Madhu Mangal, he can make a joke and everyone's laughing, and the comedy manifests and then it disappears, but he still has the sanskar there. And as Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita, Svabhavas tu pravartate, everyone is under the control of their samskars. So the tendency is for Madhu Mangal, after the next minute, he'll make another joke. Right? And he'll be joking all the time. Because the secondary rasas leave sanskar and they're part of the nature of that individual associate. Understand? And therefore, it was very legitimate way in which Rupa Goswami, he respected Bharat Muni and Srila Vyasadeva. Now, how can we say that this, let's say the comedy mood, the mood of comedy is hasyarati? It is hasyarati. In what way is it a rati if it really has the nature of just like a century bhav, but a special one that leaves a samskar? So this question arises. So Srila Jiva Goswami, he's answered this. He says that actually when Rupa Goswami says hasyarati, he doesn't really mean that it's a sthayi bhav, meaning the adyantik sthayi bhav. That foundational mood which is always there and never leaves the person at all. But here, he's using the word hasyarati, it's a compound. And this compound can be compared to the compound Purusha Vyagra. Purusha Vyagra. The word Purush means man and Vyagra means tiger. So if someone says, oh, Bhim saying is Purusha Vyagra, he's a tiger of a man. So Purusha Vyagra, what does it mean? It means a man who is like a tiger. It doesn't mean a tiger who walks on 2 hind legs and dresses in a suit and sunglasses. Right? So in the samas, in the compound Purusha Vyagra, the first term is the main thing, the Purush. It's actually a man, but Vyagra, he's like a lion. So in the same way, when Rupa Goswami says hasyarati, the main thing is it's comedy. It's not really a rati, but it's a comedic mood which is taken on the nature. It seems to be like a rati because it's become prominent over the main mood momentarily. So hasyarati. Otherwise, Jiva Goswami gives another example. He said it is like Shaka Partiva. Shaka Partiva is another compound. Shaka means vegetable. And Partiva means king. So Shaka Partiva, what does it mean? It doesn't mean a potato sitting on a throne, ruling over his kingdom. No, it means Shaka, that is the Shaka Bhoji Partiva. That means a king, Shaka vegetables, Partiva, it means a king who enjoys eating vegetables. This is the meaning. So in this samas, this compound, Shaka Partiva, the main stress is put on the second word. The king who enjoys eating vegetables. So he said in the same way, Rupa Goswami, when he said hasyarati, what does he mean? It means that it's a rati, that is the rati, the sthayi bhav for Sri Krishna, which is taken on the nature of has. It's become pervaded by the feeling of comedy, like this. And so, in this way, we can maintain the position, what? That all sthayi bhav, adyantik sthayi bhav, is to Krishna. Even though there can be other types of ratis, it doesn't mean that the sthayi bhav is not to Krishna. It's not sakya dasya vatsali o madhurya. It doesn't become anything else. So in this way, we can understand the mood of the manjaris. The mood of the manjaris is this, that their sthayi bhav is love for Krishna. Some persons, they become confused sometimes. They think, oh, if the manjaris are so one-pointed to Radhika, then they don't love Krishna. No, this is completely wrong. That wouldn't be Madhurya Rasa. The Manjaris completely love Krishna. But their friendship with Radhika is so intense that it completely pervades. Their love for Krishna becomes vyapt. It becomes totally pervaded by their love for Radhika. And their love for Radhika takes the higher position. And then their love for Krishna is nourishing their love for Radhika, instead of the love for the Sakhis nourishing their love for Krishna, which is the case with Radhika and her Sakhis. They love Krishna, and their love for each other nourishes that love. But for the Manjaris, they love Krishna, but their love for Radhika is in a higher position, and their love for Krishna is nourishing and increasing their love for Srimati Radhika. So love for Krishna is acting like Sanchari Bhav, but it's not. It's still the Sthayi Bhav. So this is Bhav Ulas. So this love of the Manjaris is amazing. So amazing. Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami Pad, he says, Krishna prema eka apurva prabhav Guru samulago ke korae dasya bhav. He said that love for Krishna has one apurva, unprecedented characteristic, and that is that it makes everyone feel dasya bhav, feel like a servant. Doesn't mean they're becoming dasyaras, but the mood of a servant comes. How? He gives so many examples. For example, Shukadeva Goswami said, Kvachit krida parishrantam gopatsam gopavahanam. Sometimes Balaram becomes tired when he's playing with the cowherd boys, and he lies down and puts his head in the lap of a friend, and then Krishna comes and massages Balaram's lotus feet. So Balaram's the elder brother, so Krishna is very happy to serve his elder brother. But at that time, when Lord Brahma tried to steal the cows and boys, and see Krishna became all the calves and the cowherd boys, he was playing for almost a year. And then one day, Balaram, he realized, what's going on? These cows, they love their calves as much as they love Krishna. And the parents love their boys as much as they love Krishna. How is that possible? And then he realized, all these calves and these boys, they're you. You have done this. So at that time, Balaram says, Kayam vakuta ayata daivi vana utasuri prayomastu me bhartu nanya mepi vimohini. He said, oh, why is this going on? Why are they loving as much as Krishna to the calves and to the boys? Is it some kind of demonic magic? Is it some kind of demigod or a rishi has done some magic here? Then Balaram thought, no demigod or rishi can affect me. I'm Balaram. And then he realized, oh, Batu, my master has done it. So why is Balaram, being the older brother, calling Krishna the master? Because Dasya Bhav, the mood of Das has come in his heart. And the reason it comes is because he feels that Krishna, he's my brother, he's my best friend, and we share everything together. We don't have any secrets from each other. But Krishna has done this amazing thing, and he didn't even tell me. And he feels that Krishna had become udasin. Krishna had become neutral to him. Krishna had become indifferent to him. And because for someone who loves Krishna to feel that Krishna has neglected them is completely devastating. So then Dainya Bhav, humility came. And Balaram said, oh, my master has done this. So this is the nature of love for Krishna. That if there's any sense of neglect, then the wave of humility comes and the Dasya Bhav appears. He does not change into Dasyaras, but that mood of Das appears in his own love. And that's also there with Nanda Maharaj as well. When Uddhav came to Braja, and he said to Nanda Maharaj, you are so fortunate. You love as your son that Supreme Personality of Godhead who is the origin of all the worlds, who is inside and outside of everything. So don't think that Uddhav was being insensitive. It's not that he doesn't know that Nanda Maharaj loves Krishna as his own son. And he's thinking, oh, Nanda Maharaj is ignorant, let me enlighten him with the tattvas. Uddhav's not feeling like this. Uddhav is very sensitive. What he saw is that Nanda Maharaj in separation, remembering Krishna, was about to give up his life. He was about to pass away. That was the fear that came to Uddhav. So then Uddhav, he had to do rasantara. He had to change the mood. And so that he started to preach about the opulence of Krishna, to try to change the mood of Nanda Maharaj, not because he was trying to enlighten him, but because he was trying to save his life. So at that time, Nanda Maharaj, he said, Manaso vrityo nasu Krishna padam budasraya. When Uddhav was about to leave and go back to Mathura, Nanda Maharaj said, "O Uddhav, may our minds be attached to the lotus feet of Krishna, and may we always chant his name, and may our bodies bow down always at the feet of your Ishvara, your Ishvara." So the reason, though he's a father, and he should not speak like this about his son, but because Krishna's gone, he said he would come back, but he didn't come back. So he feels, oh, Krishna's become indifferent, and a wave of humility came. And so the Dasya Bhav manifested in Nanda Maharaj. Listen to this very carefully. We're going somewhere. Stay on the train. And that also happens in Madhurya Rasa. When Krishna disappeared from the Rasalila in Gopi Geet, the gopis say, Bhaja Sakhe Bhavaj Kinkaris Mano. Oh Krishna, we are your kinkaris. We are not your, because they're Radhika and other gopis, they're Nayikas. They're Yudheshwaris, they're the leaders of the group, they're direct heroines of Krishna. But they say, Kinkaris Mano, we are just your dasis, your maidservants. When Radharani was speaking with the bumblebee, she said, Kvachitapi katamna kinkarinam grinite. Will Krishna come back? Does Krishna sometimes speak about us, his maidservants? When Sri Krishna disappeared from the Rasalila, at that very moment Radharani cried, Ha nata ramana preshta kwasi kwasi mahabhuja dasyaste kripanayame sakke dasya sanhidim. Oh Nath, oh my Prananath, oh my Ramana, oh Raman, this is where the name Radharaman comes from, this verse. Hanata Ramana Presta, Kwasi Kwasi, where are you? I am dying now unless I feel the touch of your Mahabhuja, your strong arms. Dasyaste Kripanayame, I am your maidservant. Dasyaste Kripanayame. Then it was as if she heard Krishna say, if you're my maidservant, then why did you tell me to carry you around in the forest? Like I am your servant. Right? Radhika says, Sakke Dashya Sanhidim. Because you treated me so lovingly, you decorated my hair. So I felt you're my friend. And so I did not hesitate to tell you to carry me. But now please come back, Dashya Sanhidim. Return at once and give me your darshan. And Radhika fainted. So we see that in these extreme moments, then the mood of Dasya comes in the various associates, of all the associates of Braj. And that is why Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj tells, Krishna Prema Eka Aprabha Prabhav. Krishna Prem in Braj has one unprecedented quality. Guru, those who are senior to Krishna, Sama, those who are equal to Krishna, and Laguke, those who are junior to Krishna, Kore Dasya Bhav. They all go into the mood of Das. So, now come to the Manjaris. Who are these Manjaris? They are from very exalted families. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he says, Tha vidyudujyati jai prapatai kareka vaidagja eva kila murti britatastatapi yuteshyaritvam api sanyag aruchayitva jasyam ritaddim anusasyor ajasyamasyaha. The meaning is that, if you look at your toes, there are some lines on the toe. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur was saying that the lines on the toes of the Manjaris are so beautiful, if someone will look at them, it's like a flash of lightning. So Kim Uta, if the lines on their toes are astonishing as a flash of lightning, then what can we say about Sri Rupa Manjari Pada, the whole lotus feet of Rupa Manjari? What can we say about her beautiful waist and her whole body and smiling face? So it's indescribable. So he's just saying, just the line on the toe of the manjaris is astonishing, like a flash of lightning. Bheda-abheda-tattva murti bheda-abheda-tattva. These manjaris, they are the embodiment of bheda-abheda. That means the skills, all arts. Si Radha Pada Padma Chavi Madarataya Prema Chids Joktire Kambude Udbhuta Pena Stavakamayatanu Sarva Vaidagya Purna Kaishora Vyanditastad Ganaruga Pagana Sri Chamatkara Bhajo Divyaran Alankara Vasta Anusarasa Sake Radhika Kinkarista. Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur said, "Oh my friend, take shelter of the kinkaris, the maidservants of Srimati Radhika. Divyalankara Vastra, they are decorated with beautiful ornaments and clothing. But these ornaments and clothing are actually Radhika's prasadi, her remnants. Because when they serve Radharani, and Radhika is so pleased, that, oh, let me give you my earrings. On another day, Radhika will give a necklace, and another day she will give her skirt. In this way, gradually, the manjaris are serving Radhika and pleasing so much. Their whole wardrobe is all Radhika's prasad. So when sometimes Krishna, yasya kadapi vasanancha lakela nutta danyati danya pavanena kritata mamni yogendra durgama katir madhusudanopi tasya namostu brashabhanu bhavot dishepi. Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur said, oh, if just from far away Krishna will smell the fragrance of Srimati Radhika, which is emanating from her cloth, then he folds his hand and prays to the breeze, oh, thank you, you are very merciful to me, you have made my life successful. So it can mean that the fragrance of the breeze that the breeze was carrying the fragrance of Radhika, who was in the distance. But sometimes it happens that Radhika is locked in her place in Yavat and she cannot come to meet with Krishna. So one manjari comes with a message, and as the manjari is very far away, then the breeze carries the fragrance, but she's wearing Radhika's cloth. So Krishna smells and he thinks, oh, now my life is a success. And then he looks and it's not Radhika. It's a manjari. But the fragrance was coming because she's wearing that cloth. So Divyalankara Vasta Anusarasa Sake. So these manjaris, how are they? They are Sarva Vaidagya Purna. They are filled in expertise of all the arts. They know singing, dancing, decorating, poetry, drama, playing musical instruments. And Vidagda means a skill that if there are many conflicting circumstances, there are different people and they have different motivations and they're all conflicting with each other, only a person with great genius can act and behave in such a way as to reconcile and harmonize everyone, that all the desires become fulfilled. This is called Vaidagya, skill, artistry. So the manjaris, they are the Vaidagdam kila eva kila murti britas tatapi. They are the embodiments of these arts and skills. The lotus feet of Radhika are shining with love for Krishna, and the love from her lotus feet spreads out and it condenses and it becomes an ocean. And in this ocean there are high waves, and when the waves crash, then the pain means the foam, clusters of bubbles of the love emanating from the lotus feet of Radhika flying to the air. So udbhukta pena stavakamayitanu sarva vaidagya purna. The manjari's bodies are made of the foam that emanates from the waves of Prem coming from the lotus feet of Radhika. This is the actual forms of the manjaris. They're made of that foam. And so they're filled with all skills. Now, even though they're so beautiful that the line on their toe is shocking, astonishing like lightning, and even though they're made of the condensed foam from the ocean of the love for Radhika's lotus feet, and even though they have all skills, and even though yuteshwaritvam api samyagarotchetva, they're qualified to be yuteshwaris. Did you know that? Rupa Manjari, Rati Manjari, Labanga Manjari, all the manjaris, every manjari is qualified to be a group leader. A group leader means that she's so qualified. She has her own the guns, so many groups of Sakis, and those Sakis have so many maidservants as well. So the group leader is called Atyantik Adhika Naika, the heroine who is so much more qualified than all the other gopis that they accept her as their group leader, and the Sakis serve her, and the maidservants serve the Sakis in serving her, like that. So each and every Manjari, Yutashritvam, is qualified actually to be a Yutashri, a group leader, and a heroine in Braj with so many followers. But Apisamyaga Rochayitva, Srila Vaishnava Thakur says, but they have no interest in that at all. Why? Because they love Krishna. And when they see how Krishna cannot stay alive without Radhika, and how Radhika's love is supreme in every condition, both meeting and separation, they know that love for Krishna is best expressed by simply becoming Radhadasi. And that attachment for Radhika becomes even greater than their love for Shri Krishna. And that is called Bhavalasarati. And that Bhavalasarati is Sva-bhakti-śriyam. So that's what we've discussed today. Samarpaitum unnata ujjvala rasam. That is the parakya. First we discussed how parakya is supreme. And then among the parakya, what is the nature of this Bhavalasarati? Intense love for Krishna, vyapt, completely pervaded by and superseded by friendship for Krishna's most dear beloved, Shrimati Radharani, Prashopano Nandini, Astasaki Shiromani, Paramakarunamai, Vrindavana Vilasini, Shrimati Radhika. So, now, Anarpita Charin Chirat Karunaya Vartinaha Kalo Samarpaitum Unnata Ujjalasam Sva-bhakti-śriyam. The question comes, if Mahaprabhu is giving this, then how does he give it? How does he give it? What's the answer? Rupa Goswami gives the answer in the next line. Hari Purta Sundara Jyoti Kadamba Sandipitaha. Hari, that is Krishna, has appeared, shining with the blazing complexion of molten gold, with a very dense and intense golden effulgence. Sada Hridaya Kandareis Puratuva Sachinandana, when that son of Sachi, may he manifest in the innermost region of your heart. That's how he gives. If a person will have a darshan in their heart of the golden effulgence of Gauranga Swarup, then they will receive this Bhavalasarati, Manjari Bhav. Why is that? Because Bhavalas means love for Krishna, which is completely pervaded by love for Shrimati Radhika. And who is Gauranga? He is Krishna, completely pervaded by the bhav of Shrimati Radhika. So when one accepts him as his Ishtadev and he manifests his golden form in the heart, naturally, when one is bathed in his golden radiance, then one receives love for Krishna, pervaded by love for Shrimati Radhika, and that is Bhavalasarati Manjari Bhav, Gaura Prayojan. Hare Krishna. So now, Sadarya Kandara is Pratuva Sachinandana. The golden form of Sachinandana is about to manifest. And this is why we've been fasting the whole day. We've been fasting the whole day. And now we'll perform the Abhishek of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It is a profound meditation and service upon his golden form. If we can please him really by bathing him from the core of our heart and pray to him, then he'll manifest his golden effulgence and give that gift that was never given before. And then that is the actual true celebration of Gaurapani. If one celebrates Gaurapani but does not receive the gift of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we cannot say that Gaurapani has truly been celebrated. So now our great, literally golden opportunity has come.